Did it for a year, then I told him to release me. That's just the bruises you take when you finally arrive. Scraping my checks, man, I had to survive. Suffocating, I suffer waiting, I'm supplicating my income. The shit stung, battled my pride. Followed my conscience and skipped all the nonsense, no cosign.
Welcome to another rendition of the TruExact Show. I'm joined here with Brian, and our special guest tonight is Locksmith, a legendary rapper, at least in my eyes. Great rapper from Richmond, California, out on the West Coast. I'd hate to call him a West Coast rapper, but you know what I mean? He's out in Cali doing his thing. He's one of my favorite lyricists. Also hate to use that term and, you know, snowball you into that. But how you doing out there, Lock?
I'm good, man. You know, feeling good, man.
Really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I know you guys are busy. I know you're, you know, probably writing up a storm. I saw your quarantine freestyle, so I figured, hey, maybe if he's doing freestyles about quarantine, he'd come on and talk about it. So what we like to do here is we're out in New Jersey, so the West Coast rappers, you know, a lot of people out here might not know about them as much, and we don't really hear your stories too much. How'd you get into rap, man? Talk about your story.
Okay, so I started rapping, just, you know, I think I was just finished with high school. My best friend, a couple of his, him and another friend, they were rapping, you know, just as like a hobby. And I was just like, man, that seemed like something I want to try. He was like, why don't you give it a shot? And so I saw how he was rapping. I saw his notebook, and I was like, well, how do you do it? And then I just kind of started like, you know, kind of following his way of doing it. And when it was like, well, look, we got this friend that, you know, we went to his house in San Francisco. He's got this little home, like a little setup in his closet, and we rapped for it. And he let me hear like the little tape. They had a cassette tape of them rapping. He's like, why don't you come next week? You know, if you don't mind driving us. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's roll. So the next week, we did it, and we was just, you know, it was our friend Steve. And he had like a little setup in his apartment in his closet. And he was 17. He was younger than us. He was like a senior in high school. I think we were like freshmen in college, you know. And I don't know how he had his own apartment as a senior in high school.
It's probably better you don't know.
Yeah, that was weird.
He was making money like that.
But he had his own apartment, and he made beats too, also. So we were rapping over his beats. So, you know, he was just like this young white kid who made beats, had like a little setup. And, you know, it was fun. You know, I was just like, we were just basically like passing the microphone around, rapping. And that was the first time I ever heard myself rap over a beat, you know. And I was like, oh, okay. It was terrible, you know.
It happens with so many people, though. You go back and you listen to your early stuff, and you're probably like cringing the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I won't even consider that early stuff. That was literally the first time I wrote a rap. You know what I mean? Like, it was literally like.
Do you remember the bars? Do you remember the first line you wrote? No.
No, absolutely. No, I can't remember. It was just ridiculousness. You know what I mean? Just silly shit, probably. I knew I was trying to be poetic. Like, I knew what I wanted to sound like, but what I sound like, I was listening to like a lot of Ghostface and like Wu-Tang and Nas and stuff like that. So I just remember when Ghostface rapped, he would like, they weren't like, it wasn't like full thoughts. It was just, I mean, it wasn't like full statements. It was like kind of like thoughts, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in the Philippines, put coffee bean, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. I was just like, it just sounded poetic and it sounded dope. So I just wanted to do stuff like that. So it was like random stuff like that. You know what I mean? But anyway, we did that every week. You know what I mean? We did that every week for a while. That was just like our weekly thing to do. Every weekend we would go over to Steve's house and we would rap, you know. And after we did it a few times, we were like, hey, let's make a demo, you know. And that's how we kind of just like started rapping. You know what I mean?
The one thing we always say too, about that, because we kind of had the same setup when we were like 17. One of our friends made beats and we go down there. As much as like you weren't popular at the time, was that like the best time in your life though? You know what I mean? There was no worries. You were just having fun.
Man, it was so fun, bro. Yeah. It was just like, I mean, you got to think you're just a kid. You're 19, 18 years old. Like, I mean, to me, I still have a great, like, I still have an amazing time rapping. But you know, you're living at home with your mom and dad or whatever, at least I was. And it was just like, you know, you have your girlfriend or your girls you're talking to. And then, you know, this was our little weekend kind of getaway. We would go on a Saturday and Sunday. We would go hang out at the mall because he literally lived right across the street from the mall. So this was like, oh, this is cool. Like, we're out here meeting these San Francisco girls. Then we go back, we write some raps, we grab some food. We were just like hanging out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just a fun time. And we were just trying to be good. Like, we just loved rap. And those guys were far more advanced than me. Like, they had already like started rapping. So I was kind of like the like tag along. And but it had a profound effect on me, because what I did was, that's how I developed myself, because I don't write anything down. Like, I don't write any of my raps down.
Really?
But at that point I did. You know, that was like the first few months of us rapping. Or, you know what I mean? We would do it once a week, and they were so good with their notebooks, their raps, and they were so much better than me. I just felt intimidated. I didn't like the way I sounded. I didn't like the way my notebook looked. I was like, this looks so stupid, and they were much faster than me. So what I started doing was, when we would go to the mall to hang out with girls, what I would start doing is I would start memorizing bars while we were at the mall. So by the time we got back to the apartment and they were super fast, I already started. It was my way of getting a head start. So I started memorizing like 4 bars, 8 bars at the mall. So by the time I got back to the studio with them, I already had a head start. You know what I mean? And then that developed into me. Eventually, you know, make a long story short, I just completely abandoned using a pen or a pad or anything like that. I just got used to writing it in my head. You know.
So when you record now, everything is like, you'll listen to a beat and then you start feeling it. And then you'll start writing all in your head, and then you go right in and do it. That's, I mean, I
write it in my head. I'm not just like freestyling.
Yeah.
I'm, you know, I listen to a beat over and over again, and I just write the bars from memory.
Yeah, but you know, it's impressive to even do that, to like come up with it and then stay with it and keep it in your mind the whole time. Because how often are you like, you're editing and it's like going back, and then something else happens and your attention's placed over here, you know?
Yeah.
Now, did you freestyle? Did you freestyle like in your head while you were seeing things? You know how you practice growing up?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I'm walking the hall, I'm talking it raw, all with the ball. You know what I mean?
It's a little bit better than that.
No, I'm just going on right here, man.
No, so literally, we'd be at the mall and we'd be having conversations of stuff, and I'd be thinking like, what's a dope? What I want to say something dope. You know what I'm saying? So I would just try to think of punchlines or think. You know what I mean? Like, I think back then I was more kind of punchline oriented. So I would think of like, what's a dope punchline? And I would work my way backwards from that and be like, okay, I want to say this. So let me think of, you know, the 3 bars before that. And then I would come up with these 3 bars and then, you know what I mean? And then that would be my 4 bars to start off with when we went back to the studio.
Now, when did you realize, like, all right, you were kind of messing around going to the studio? At what point did you realize, all right, I want to take this to the next level? Like, you realize, all right, this is an ability I have. Like, did something happen?
Yeah, it took over time. I mean, just in that setting, you know, like I said, we were doing that for months, just going over there every weekend, every chance we could, we would go over there. And then what happened is, one day we were at the studio, and my boy, my best friend, he was like, we recorded something. He looked at me, he was like, yo, that was much better than anything you've ever done. You know what I'm saying? I was like, really? He was like, yeah. He was like, I just remember that day, it just all kind of clicked.
Yeah, everything comes together in that one verse that happens.
Yeah, it just sounded, I remember listening back to it, I was like, damn, this sounds like, to me, I was like, I kind of sound like a rapper right there. So, I mean, it wasn't like something big came from that, but it's just like, in my mind, just as an artist, I knew, I was like, yo, I sound just as good as them now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so that happened after a couple months of kind of like going to the studio. So, but then, you know, there were, as far as my career, I mean, I have a long career. It's been so many different, I don't know where to start, but I mean, I've done everything from battling to performing and just doing all kind of stuff. So it was just, I would say in those first 2 years of rapping, that was just like me just learning. I was just a sponge, just doing everything. I didn't even know I had abilities and capabilities of doing, you know. I was just soaking up hip hop, you know.
Now, what did you, did you want to be anything else at that point? You veered
Oh
into
yeah,
rap?
no, this was all as a hobby. This
Right.
was not something I'm going to be a rapper. This was us just doing it because we fucking loved it. I was in college at the time. So, you know, it was maybe like a back of my mind, like, what if we could be rappers? You know what I'm saying? But, you know, we were essentially doing it as a hobby. We were making demos. And I think after a while, what happened is we actually went to a studio, to a real studio where you had to pay. And that's actually when I stopped using a notebook at all completely. I just completely abandoned it because I forgot my notebook. And we were like, damn. And I was like, well, I got it in my head. Fuck it. Why do I don't need to sit and look at a notebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at that time I was writing in my head, but then I would still transcribe it onto a notebook. So when I go record it, I would, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Rap it. I would have something to look at. But then I forgot my actual notebook. So I had already been writing in my head at the time, but I would still transcribe it on the paper when we would go to record it. But I forgot my notebook. And then once we got into the studio, I was like, man, I don't need that shit. I got it. And I love the way it felt. I love not having to like be in front of the microphone and hold a piece of paper. Like, to me, that just never felt natural to me. And once I did that, to me, I was like, I sounded way better. You know what I mean? It just sounded way better. I sounded way more natural. Like I was less worried about the words and more about the cadence of how I was saying it.
Yeah.
And I was even, without even knowing it, I was taking out words that I didn't even think needed to be there. Like, you know what I mean? I was just basically saying what needed to be said instead of saying what was on the paper. You know what I mean?
But everything always comes across better that way, because when you have something, like when you come up with something and you have it like down pat, you're able to come across so much stronger rather than like sitting there with like a paper in front of your face. Like it almost comes off as like you're unsure about what you're saying. You know, but when you have it ingrained in your mind, like you said, you can do live editing. You could do, you put more power behind it, you know?
That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? I look at it like whatever is meant to be, even if I fuck up, or it's just meant to be that way, because that's what naturally is coming out of me. So that kind of gave me, and then when I got it done and it sounded, everybody's like, yo, that sounds fucking hard. I was like, oh, that's the way I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? So from then we started making demos, you know, on CD, and we were like trying to get it to labels. We were sending stuff to Unsigned Hype and Source magazine, you know what I mean? Trying to like, you know, do stuff like that. And that's when we were like, I guess, trying to be rappers, you know?
Now, you went into the battle circuit in like 2008 grind time area. I remember you battled Disaster, Daylight. How did you get into that, and why did you stop? And do you ever think about hopping back in, or the format's changed to where you just don't like the 40 minutes and stuff?
All right, so I got to give you the whole explanation of how this works.
Perfect.
So, like I said, at that time, we're making demos. We sent our demo to Unsigned Hype in the Source. At that time, you know, Biggie, Mobb Deep, I think, like all these people had won Unsigned Hype previously. We were like, yo, man, we want to get Unsigned Hype. That's how we're going to get discovered. You know what I mean? We sent it in. We didn't hear anything back. We're like, man, we think this is dope, because we were like, we listened to a lot of East Coast hip hop. So we were, you know what I mean? Our style was, you know, my favorite rapper was Nas. I was following, like, you know, I was trying to like be like Nas, Mobb Deep. We were rapping over Mobb Deep type beats. You know what I mean? So we were like, yo, they're gonna fuck with this, but we didn't hear anything back. So finally, we called the Source, because they used to have their number in the magazine. You could call them. So we called and we're like, yo, can we speak to the da-da-da? And they were like, yeah, we got your demo, but we already picked the winner. We're like, who's the winner? It was like, oh, it was this white kid from Detroit. You know, he's working with Dr. Dre. We're like, what? Some white
Really?
Wow.
Who's this asshole? He'll never make it.
He can't be better than us. You know what I mean? And
that's
and
a crazy story. That is a crazy story.
And then the next week, he was like, won the Source. And we was like, man, who the fuck is this dude? Eminem. You know what I mean? But the Source was like, yo, check this out. We're coming to your city. Where are you at? We're like, we're in the Bay Area. We're like, well, we're coming to the Bay Area on this day. blah, 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 blah. You got to be here at this time. We were like, oh, that's perfect. So it was like a month away or something. We was like, we'll just bring our demo there. You know what I mean? They're doing something in person. So fast forward a month, we go there to the Unsigned Hype, and we bring our demo like, hey, you know, and they were like, what is this? We're like, this is our demo. This is Unsigned Hype. We're like, nah, this is a battle. We're like, what?
Wow.
You know, like this is a battle. And I had never been in a battle. I didn't even know what that was. They was like, yo, no, like this, we don't take demos. You got to get up here and rap. And I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea. And then I got up there, and that was my first time like rapping in front of a crowd like that, like freestyling. Like I had never even freestyled other than just, you know, with my friends and my homies. You know what I mean? I don't even know if I had even grabbed a microphone before. You know what I mean? Grabbed the microphone, boom. As soon as I start rapping, like I just knew, like I felt comfortable grabbing. I felt no fear, basically. Like I didn't feel like nervous. Like I just grabbed that microphone, like boom, let's go. And I grabbed the mic, and everybody was like, oh, and it was like, yo, you're dope. And then they moved me to the next round. It was like, all right, so you're going to be battling now. Because I think like a few hundred people showed up, and everybody raps for 30 seconds. And then the top people, they send them to the battle round. So then I just started battling cats, and I had never battled before. And I just was just like, you know, talking shit about the other people while I was rapping. And I just knew I knew how to like cater to the crowd. And I just beat everybody. And I got all the way to me and the last guy. Out of like the hundreds of people, it was just me and this other guy. And I didn't end up winning, but whoever won, they were sent to New York. And I really wanted to win that, but they end up
it wasn't another white guy from Detroit, was it?
No, it was a black dude who I actually ended up being cool with afterwards. But he ended up winning and going to New York, and he didn't win, but I still got a lot of notoriety. Everybody's like, yo, that's that Locksmith kid. Yo, that dude is not. So that's how I started developing a reputation in my areas. Like, yo, that dude is dope, you know?
So it's almost like you kind of stumbled into battle rapping.
Oh, completely. Absolutely.
So
this is back in like 2000, 2001, 2002. Yeah. This is before grind time or any of that shit was even thought of. This was on beat, freestyle rap battles that, you know what I mean, tournament style. You don't know who you're preparing for. You're just, you know what I mean? Like, all right, Locksmith, you're going against MC whatever, you know what I mean? And then you just talk shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you like that format better than what it is like with the 3 minutes or 6 minutes, just the old style? Like it was a little more raw, like the 8 Mile style. Right, 45 seconds, go.
You know, it's just different, man. I mean, it's a different skill set, you know? So after I did that, I started developing a notoriety. And then in 2003, they had this big, MTV had this big battle thing on TRL.
Yeah, I remember.
And so everybody in my neighborhood, so like MTV had announced it, like, we're taking the first 10,000 rappers. You come to New York and sign up and da-da-da-da. So everybody in my hood, like in the barbershop, was like, yo, Lock, man, you need to do that. We'll pay for you. I'll send you out there. But what ended up happening is that our local radio station had a contest, Sway from MTV, who's from the Bay Area. Obviously, it was like, came to the radio station, like, we're looking for the dopest MCs, da-da-da-da-da. So I won. So I went to that. They had that in San Francisco, and I beat everybody, murdered everybody. And then they sent me to New York to represent for Northern California to do. So I didn't have to audition amongst 1,000 rappers.
Was that your first time? Was that your first time on the East Coast?
I had an ex-girlfriend that I went to visit who went to school with me, but that was my first time, you know what I'm saying? Like going for some music shit. That was my second time in New York.
Yeah.
So they flew me to New York. And like I said, I didn't have to participate in the audition. I went straight to like the battle round where it was like, I don't know, 80 or 60 MCs or something like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the first day it's just like, all right, time to battle. You know what I mean? So I end up beating everybody and getting down to the last two. Once again, in Times Square, it was on TRL. It was, you know what I mean? This big deal, you know, TV cameras. And I was in New York for the whole week. Like the whole week I was battling, like, cause you know, it was rounds every week. So I'm battling cats every week, battling cats from all over the country. All these different judges, Kanye West, Just Blaze, all these different guys were judging, record label people. and I'm getting notoriety. People are like, yo, that's that kid Locksmith from California. So it was a big deal, man. And so I got all the way to the last round, which was like the nationally televised, went on MTV. Everybody's watching it. People are, are rooting for me. I get all the way to the last round. It's me and the other dude. I don't end up winning. A lot of people said I should have won, but so the weird thing about that is the whole week when we were battling, it was judges. Like I said, Kanye West was a judge. All these different people were judges, and they was always Locksmith. I was winning. But on this particular battle, all the way, even during that day, like every battle leading up to that, it was the judges. The judges made the call, like, yo, Locksmith won. But then when it got to the last battle, it was no more judges. It was call in and vote. You know what I mean? So when I did that battle, I thought I won, and then
wait, I don't mean to cut you off real quick. This was because I do remember this. This was the one that Swan was on and Blind Fury. No. This is a different one.
This is before. See, everybody remembers the last one. I was the one before. Okay. Before Swan and Recognize and Blind Fury.
Yeah.
So I was the one before. So the one you're watching, the one you're referring to, is the second one.
Yeah. Was that Rain Man?
Yes, I lost to Rain Man.
Yes, RJ King.
Yeah. You lost. So it was me against Rain Man. So they picked Rain Man 1, which is my homie. He's a good, super dope MC, still doing his thing. So they picked Rain Man to win. And I was just like, all right, whatever. But I came home, I was a celebrity. Everybody was like, oh, Locksmith, you held it down. You were dope. You should have won. Blah, 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 blah. And that kind of jump started. I want to say at that point is when I became like a rapper. You know what I mean? Because everybody saw me on TV. Girls are coming up to me like, oh, I saw you. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm no longer just a guy working a regular job. Like, I'm Locksmith. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
but it's like people that come in second on American Idol,
Yeah,
exactly. You didn't win the whole thing, but maybe you were better off not winning the whole thing,
Exactly. Like I still got the recognition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now we're from the age, man. I'm pretty sure like we're all the same age. We're from the era like you were probably like you said, passing out mixtapes and doing that stuff. How did you adjust to the digital age when it kicked in? Because a lot of people weren't able to survive that when like MySpace came and the YouTube videos. So did you find that like hard, or you kind of flowed with it perfectly?
I think it's just made things a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Made things a lot easier.
So do you think it's good and bad in a way? Like, do you think it oversaturated everything? Like rappers who aren't that good could just make a name for themselves, but at the same time, people are getting recognition who might not have gotten recognition.
Yeah, there's good and bad to everything. But no, I mean, it's just, you can't fight technology. I mean, that's what I personally would never want to go back to that era. I worked that era. It was way more expensive. You had to press up vinyl. You had to, studio time was way more, you know what I mean? It was just a pain in the ass. Now I can do songs with people across the country. You can sing, you know what I mean? Like I was recording on ADAT, you know what I mean? I even recorded on 2-inch reel, and all those things. So now the fact that I can send files and it does make it where it's more accessible and more people it's more saturated and it's more people flooding the market, but the cream always rises to the top. You just have to stay persistent and do what you do. So I never was like, I always embraced it because I was like, oh, this is great. You know what I mean? I don't have to fucking press up vinyl. I can just send my MP3 to a DJ at that point. You know what I mean? At that time. So it's a lot better.
With what sparked the Famous video? It seems like you were just fed up. Like, did you just did something happen and you were just like, I'm just gonna rap about these young kids making these songs? Was that like something you wanted to rap about for a while and you just said, I'm making a video? Was that? And I know a lot of artists are like, I don't pay attention, but with you being so good at rocking a mic, and you see these guys making these songs and getting the radio play, does it irk you at all? Like, I know you don't want to hate on people making their money because they're doing their thing, but does it ever get to you to a degree and you're just like, this shit pisses me off? Because as a fan, it pisses us off.
So that song came about. I was on tour last year. We were in the van. It was me, Jerem Benton, and Echo, and we're riding and we were talking about something. Somebody came out with a song. We were like, oh, that is such a fucking clout. I was like, dude, that's rad. Why are they? It wasn't, it was a song, like, it was so blatantly for clout. We were like, that's such a cloudy thing to do. And I was like, bro, and then we just had this discussion. And I was like, bro, this type of shit is like cheesy, da-da-da-da. And he was like, dude, Echo was like, bro, you need to make a song about that. Or they were like, yo, you need to make a song about it. I was like, you think so? I was like, you know, just to break. I was like, you know what? Because I was on the road so much last year, I didn't get a chance to record at all. I was just on the road, just like, I think I did over 150 shows, you know? So I was just exhausted. I had no time to really go in the studio or nothing. So what I was doing was, when I was on the road, I was just collecting song titles and concepts that I would get back to when I got done. So that was one of the songs. I was just like, you know what? I like that idea. I'm going to keep that tucked away. So I just kept the idea tucked away till I got off the road. And then like the end of the year, or maybe the beginning of this year, I was looking for the right type of beat, and I was like, oh, that's the perfect beat. And then I just kind of wrote it.
Now, I know that obviously one of the portrayals in that was, I'm guessing, Tekashi, but I don't want to bring up his whole...
No, wasn't it, I thought it was Lil Pump.
Lil Pump, one of them.
It's like
it's all the
combination. It's like a hodgepodge, collage of a bunch of different stuff.
But you mentioned something in one of your K-Slay freestyles about like these guys buying views, right? And then he came out recently mentioning that people are buying Billboard #1 spots. Now, is this something that actually goes on in the industry? Because it's the same thing when we talk to Nino Bless. Like, people like literally are like, they're getting run through algorithms and stuff. And like, is it all money now? Like, you can literally just buy #1 singles. Like, how into the market are you with knowledge with that? Does that actually happen?
Well, I can say this. I don't think you can just buy something like this. Like, hey, I'm going to go buy a #1 single. I have 10 minutes. What happens is anything you do in life, it's based on relationships. It's based on money. It's, you know what I mean? All these they have different factors. So if you have the right relationships, if you have the right amount of money to pay for sometimes you can pay for relationships, you know? If you're able to sponsor certain things, then yeah, that will help your cause. And you know what I mean? That can get you up on the charts. That's nothing new. Like, that's not, it doesn't take rocket science to, you know what I mean? Like, if you have millions of dollars to put into promotion, if you have millions of dollars to sponsor certain things, you have millions of dollars to do this, if you have the right type of content, that when we put this millions of dollars behind it, we know it's part of the formula, that more than likely, it's just like, I'm gonna take me, for instance, like, I don't know about you guys, but I know a lot of people love Marvel movies, right? I hate them. I don't like comic book movies, except for maybe like Batman, Christian Bale, you know what I'm saying? Or the Joker movie. Like, I don't like Spider-Man and Justice League and, you know what I'm saying? Infinity War. Like, that shit is trash, right? But I can guarantee you, every time that movie comes out, where is it going to be in the box office the weekend?
Number one.
Because why? They know what works. They know what the audience, you know, that the audience works. They know if they spend this amount of money. They know if they pay for these amount of ads. They know they're going to buy up the amount of spaces in the theater, because the theaters they won't even allow certain other movies. Like, you won't even get a chance to be in the theater. If I'm fucking an independent filmmaker and I'm making this small film that's dope that everybody loves, that I'm not even going to be able to get in as many theaters. Like Quentin Tarantino talked about the time when Disney was saying, like, look, we had to have this amount of theaters, and Quentin Tarantino was like, yo, I want to have my movie, and Disney was like, no, if you don't do this, if you don't put our movie in the theater for this amount of weeks, we will not give you the next one. So they had to be like, fuck it. They was like, sorry, Quentin Tarantino, Hateful Eight, you're not going to get in this movie theater. So they were like, well, fuck it, we'd rather push him out because we got to. So I think he's had a lawsuit or something like that. He was like, yo, I'm going to fucking sue Disney because they can't do that. So it's the same thing in any business. It's like, the machine is going to always want to take whatever can make them the most money. So they're going to promote this. They look at the thing that, look, this can go viral. Oh, this person is already doing silly shit. So why don't we put some money behind it? And then this will enable us to give it, to maximize the amount of views or downloads or streams or whatever you want to call it. So
I feel like it was more I feel like it was more controlled in the early 2000s, and late 90s. Is it like, I know Crooked Eye tweeted like, should the hip hop have gatekeepers, or is it too hard now with everyone being able to have their own platform? Is that something you think is true?
no, I personally, I understand what he means, and there is some truth to that. But me personally, I'd rather it not be the gatekeepers, because the gatekeepers, fuck you. Like, who can you say, like, if Tekashi can get blow up, if people want to consume that bullshit, then that's what they want to consume. It's a free country. I've never listened to a Tekashi song. I've heard like snippets, because you just can't escape it. Like sometimes it pops up on your, but I hear like 10 seconds. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Like, I can't listen to that.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's just not even good. It just sonically, it doesn't sound good to me. But I understand why it works and why people gravitate towards it, because in today's, because of technology and social media, if you get enough people,
but a lot of these guys are just personalities, because their music is trash, and it's all about every single other thing they do.
What's trash is arbitrary. It's opinionated. Like, what may be trash, and I understand that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But there's no debate that the music is not what's gaining the attention.
True.
The thing that's gaining the attention is the character, the antics, and those different type of things. And they found a hustle that worked for them.
Yeah.
So good for them. Just like they can do it, I can critique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, do you have a problem? Like, all right, that's all well and good. They're making their thing, and if people want to listen, they want to listen. But like the fact that they're on the airwaves, I've always kind of had an issue. Now, I know that it's probably money driven, but I have an issue with the DJs who are pushing it. I feel like DJs sometimes have a chance to push other stuff. I mean, you have an ear closer to the ground than I do. Are they kind of like corrupted?
No, they don't. No, they don't.
So they don't.
Are you talking about DJs that are on the radio?
Yes, yeah. Like, so, like, for instance, just to throw his name out there, Marlon Craft tweeted the other day he was going to be on Hot 97 Live freestyling with Peter Rosenberg at 1 a.m. And then, like, I'm thinking, but then Rosenberg is on 6 hours later. Why doesn't he play a Marlon Craft song?
Let me give you an explanation of how radio works. Rosenberg has a specialty show on Hot 97. Peter Rosenberg is not the music director. He's not the assistant music director. He's a personality who's on shows on Hot 97. So he does not decide what gets played in rotation on Hot 97.
Right.
He can play Marlon Craft on his specialty show that comes on at whatever time in the evening. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. On whatever night. The thing that radio stations, they get paid by how many people tune in, because they sell ads. Okay, they sell ads to companies who want to advertise on their show. That's how they make money. So they have to keep as many people tuned into their station as possible. They do that by playing the shit that the majority of people want to hear. And the majority of people do not want to hear most of the time, they want to hear what is popular. And now the radio is almost being dictated by what is already popular. Whereas like before, the record labels used to bring stuff to the radio station, be like, look, this is our new record. The record label the radio station would play it. If it researched well, then the record label, the radio station would play it. Now it's almost all the radio has to do. They can see what's already charting on iTunes, what's charting on YouTube, what's charting on SoundCloud. They can find different stuff that's already bubbling, and they be like, oh, okay, this is the shit that we're going. And then by that time, the record label has stepped in and be like, all right, we just signed XY, little XY, whatever his name is. And they be like, all right, look, this song is already blowing up on the internet. Now the record label is already behind it. They're saying, can you play our new artist? They play it. They already know it's going to do well. And that's how good Marlon Craft or other people, I know Marlon Craft, he's the homie, but the hard time that independent artists or artists who don't make what's going on in mainstream is harder to break through because of those very reasons that I just named. You don't have the clout or the popularity based on these songs, because these songs are being driven by algorithms based on clicks and views, and then the record labels are taking and says like, okay, this is already popping on Instagram or YouTube, so I'm just going to put and it works in the format of what's already playing in radio. You know what I'm saying? So you'll get those spins because that's what's working right now. So it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna just pay. Like it just doesn't work. Like Peter Rosenberg cannot play whatever he wants at 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Hot 97.
I never figured he could. I'm just saying that's for someone like for him, and even like Sway on Shape 45, who are like hip hop heads. That's got to be hard for them. I know they got to make a living, you know, but like that's gotta be a little tough.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, I mean, it all depends. Like I don't know what Peter what his taste in music exactly is. I mean, from my understanding, I've met Pete a few times, and he obviously is a hip hop head to some degree, but he also works for a corporation. He knows he has to play certain things, and I think he likes some of it too. Like I like I don't only like 90 BPM hip hop boom bap. Like I like a lot of different shit. You know what I mean? So if I was running a radio station, I understand that I couldn't just. That's why Hot 97 has the specialty shows like Peter Rosenberg, so they can still serve that demographic that still want to hear some of those things that aren't so popular. But I will say this: if Marlon Craft or myself or any other independent artist, if we go on Peter Rosenberg's show and we have a song that actually works and does well, and that the music director's like, yo, this song is kind of dope, I think, you know what I mean, and it gains traction, then maybe it could get played during the day if everything lines up. You know what I'm saying? If it all lines up and it's a song that works in their format and it's doing really well on its own and there's some push behind it, then he could possibly get played.
That's a hell of an intel there, man. That really was amazing.
It's great.
I have to ask you, are there any other influences you had that weren't hip hop related, music wise, like a rock band or anything like that?
I mean, I listen to a little bit of everything, man. You know, I wouldn't say this one specific thing, like, you know, but I listen to Beatles, I listen to Bob Dylan, I listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers, I listen to Sam Cooke, I listen to James Brown, I listen to R&B stuff. My mom played all that stuff, but I mean, I guess they all had an influence on me to some degree, you know.
Now, was there a certain rapper when you were coming up who really like you? I don't want to say idolized, but you kind of were listened to, and you're like, all right, this is one of my main influences here.
Yeah, Nas.
Nas
was the rapper that made me want to rap.
Nice. Was there a specific song you heard and you were like, holy shit?
No, I mean, it was just Illmatic, man. I just played that album, you know, over and over and over and over again. Like, that was the first rap album that made me want to, like, freestyle and be like, yo, like, I wanted to rap like Nas. Like, I just thought I thought what he was doing was just, like, the dopest shit ever. You know what I mean?
And you know what? Not to put down Nas at all, because he's definitely up there when it comes to rapping ability and all the classics that he put out. But you know who's someone that nobody ever really names, they never really talk about? Jadakiss.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To me, I don't know. There was just something about him, all his music. He just feels like one of those guys that kind of gets left out of that conversation sometimes.
It's always Jay-Z or Nas, and like no one ever really throws Jadakiss.
Yeah, no one ever puts Jadakiss.
I mean, I love Jadakiss, but Jadakiss to me is not on the level of Jay-Z or Nas. To me, he's just not.
That's fair.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a big fan of his. I don't know.
Yeah, which is your opinion. Like, yeah, to me, like, I mean, Nas was before Jadakiss too. So
yeah,
when you like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when the Locks and when Jadakiss first came out, but Nas was out, you know, he was out before Jay-Z. He was out, you know what I mean? Like Nas, we're talking about early 90s, Live at the Barbecue. You know what I'm saying? Where Jadakiss was, you know, was not even close to being out at that point. You know what I mean? Jadakiss
still hanging out in Yonkers.
Yeah, he didn't come out till like mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
You know?
Locke, in the Rhetoric video you made, you were fencing. How did you think of that idea?
Oh, you know what? We were just trying to think of cool things, imagery. And then my director was like, yo, you know what? The guy who, my boy Jesse Ray Diamond, he was like, my producer of the video, or his roommate or something, was like, yo, his roommate is the producer of the video, his roommate was a fencer. And he's like, you know, it would be dope. I was like, yeah, that would be dope. Let's do that. So he got his roommate to bring a couple actual fencers and got me in a fencing outfit. And I was like, yo, that would be dope. So that's how it kind of came about.
That's crazy.
I thought you like did it in college or something, and you were like a star fence. No. I thought it was genius too. And the album, I think it was the Ali album. You made a video for a lot of the songs. I think that's key. Did you find yourself like the more songs you made as the digital age came about, you felt like you had to get videos out more than maybe you did in the past?
Well, since I started releasing music independently, I've always, you know, since we've been able to do music videos, it's just, I love making music videos. I love putting visuals to songs. It's something I enjoy doing. Like, it's part of the whole, like, when I'm making songs, I'm thinking about, oh, what can I do for the video? So that's just how I think. So, you know, I try to do as many videos as I can, you know what I mean? Because I think that's just, it's part of my whole presentation.
Now, did you ever meet not a celebrity, another rapper where you were a little bit starstruck or no?
I mean, I met Dr. Dre. That was kind of a surreal, you know what I'm saying? I was just kind of like, wow, I can't believe it. But I wasn't starstruck like, oh, I don't know what to talk like, you know. I was able to sit and talk with him for hours, you know what I mean? But in my mind, I was like, holy fucking shit, you know what I'm saying? Or like afterwards, I was just like, yo, I just, you know what I mean? So
I guess you just come to the realization they're just people like us, you know what I mean?
We're all human beings.
Yes. Who haven't you collabed with that you want to yet?
There's a lot, man.
Yeah,
you know
like your number one.
I want to work with Dr. Dre. I'd love to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's cool. Now, would you ever get back into battling or no? You're done.
I never say never, but it's not something that I don't even really watch battling. You know what I mean? Like I stopped in 2009. I think I did 4 battles that year, and after that, I stopped because I just creatively it wasn't something I was just that inspired me anymore. I wasn't motivated to do it, and I have a lot of respect for battling. So I would never want to just think, oh, I can just willy-nilly jump back in and do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I know if I do it, I would have to be focused. Like when I was battle rapping for that year, I was focused. I was like, because I was excited. It was a new way. You know, it was the acapella battles. It was a new thing. I was excited about it, and I was dedicated to it. But then after I did it for a while, it just wasn't as fun to me anymore. I was like, I want to make some songs. I want to go on tour. You know what I mean?
And when you're
hold on, let me ask this before we move on from there, because I want to just kind of piggyback off the Dr. Dre thing. How do you go about setting that up? Like, if you wanted to work with Dre, right? It's like, is that just a phone call you could make, or is that like?
No, I mean, I met and befriended Exhibit. So I was working with Exhibit at the time, and Exhibit, you know, I flew down to LA because I'm about 6 hours away from LA. So I flew down. Exhibit was like, yo, let's work on some stuff. Went into the studio with him. You know, he has a really dope studio. So I was just down at his crib and in his studio for like, you know, a couple of days. And one day I was in the studio and he was just like, yo, let's go for a ride. I was like, all right. And he's like, yo, Dr. Dre wants to meet you. I'm like, what? So we just, you know, we drive to Dre's crib and, you know, just sat down and just had some long conversations. Yeah, and I mean, that's pretty much, I mean, I'll still work closely with Exhibit now, but Dre is just like, you know, to actually like record with him, make some songs with him. I haven't done that yet. I've worked with producers that he's worked with, but to sit down and do that, that would be dope.
I will say I heard the song you made with Exhibit and Razkaz with God. Exhibit could still spit, man. I love Exhibit, and he fucking tore that verse apart. Brian, one more thing, Lock. Sorry about this. When you are making a new album, do you listen to rap or you try to stay away from it because you don't want to be influenced by other things?
Nah, I listen to shit when I want to listen to it. I don't be like, oh, I can't listen to nothing. Like, I mean, I want to listen to new shit. I want to get influenced by it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just be shut off and be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want inspiration, motivation. I'm not going to just copy something, but I will take other music, other rappers or other musicians. I'll take ideas or I'll let their ideas inspire me to do shit. Like, oh, I would have did it better. I would have did it this way. Or I would like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody does that. You have to take things from different genres, different eras, or I might go listen to classic stuff or newer stuff or whatever. I listen to whatever I want to listen to.
Pretty cool. We're going to get to the gun to your head segment, Brian. You got anything else for him?
No, that's it.
Lock, just to have a little fun during the end of this, because, you know, we kind of exhausted you, I feel, and you probably told the story 100 times about how you're being a rapper, so I really appreciate you coming on. First thing that comes to your mind, I'm going to ask you some questions, all right?
Okay.
All right. Would you rather fist fight a shark in the water or a bear on land?
A bear on land.
Smart. If there was a purge going on, would you hide out or go purge?
I'd hide out.
Yeah, me too.
Protect myself.
Thomas Edison or Albert Einstein?
Albert Einstein.
If you could wipe one social media platform off the earth, what would it be?
Say Twitter.
I'd probably go with TikTok.
Yeah, I don't use TikTok at all.
All right, yeah, let's go with TikTok. I don't dance.
But then I kind of hate Facebook, though. I hate
Yeah.
what they represent. But go ahead.
All right. Sour Patch Kids or Airheads?
Sour Patch.
Nas's Illmatic. I guess I know this one. All right, I'll go with Nas's Stillmatic or the Marshall Mathers LP.
No, what were you going to originally ask?
Nas's Illmatic, but if that was the one that influenced you, I'm thinking you're going to choose that, right?
As opposed to what?
The Marshall Mathers LP.
Illmatic or Stillmatic? What are you saying?
Stillmatic.
Marshall Mathers LP.
Okay. And I'm assuming Illmatic, you'd pick Illmatic, correct?
Yes.
Would you rather master rollerblading, ice skating, or skateboarding?
Would I rather master rollerblading?
Ice skating or skateboarding?
Ice skating.
I'm in with that. Celine Dion or Alanis Morissette?
Celine.
Yeah, I'm with you. Paul McCartney or Mick Jagger?
Paul McCartney.
All right. Would you rather be on Family Feud, Price is Right, or Wheel of Fortune?
Wheel of Fortune.
All right. Lock, promote yourself, man. Where can we catch you at?
Just, IamLock.com.
All right. Then they catch him on Twitter and all that. Any new albums coming out you working on, mixtapes?
Yeah, man, just stay tuned. A lot of new music coming.
All right.
No announcements, though.
Lock, thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking your time out, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you.